and now a little different role for you too, because you got a son that's now being recruited. What kind of advice do you give him as he now goes through that process?
I enjoy the process. He's getting a lot of attention. A lot of mail we get a lot of mail every day, a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts from coaches. Just enjoy it. We'll visit some campuses, and we'll make a decision when the time comes.
Rob and I have been talking about your former coaches who we are seeing here tonight. Jeff Bauer, who's back as the head coach, of course, and Dave McGarity, who hasn't been here for a number of years. What did those two guys mean to you and in your development here?
Both helped me tremendously. Dave was a coach that was always real positive, and that's what I needed at the time. I was a shy kid from the Netherlands. Didn't really believe that I could be a good basketball player. He made me believe that. And then Jeff Bauer. We spent many hours on the court before class even started, 6 in the morning. We'd be doing center training here, at Merritt in McCann. So I owe them a great deal. They both helped me along and got me some self-confidence and got me where I am today, I guess.
And then I imagine you would see Jeff periodically throughout your NBA career.
Yeah, I did. It was good seeing him, and it was good seeing him in different capacities. He's a general manager, he was a coach, he was a scout, he did it all in the NBA. And to see him back here, I wish him the best, and I think with some time he'll get this program back on the map.
He's always been such a great evaluator of talent. I think it would also be a big benefit to the fact that he was here for so long to help bring everybody back. That was a tremendous turnout for alumni, and I think probably Jeff had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, he definitely did. I like all the people here at Marist, but the fact that Jeff was here, it really made an effort to get a lot of guys, including myself, to come back. That played a part in it.
Among the players coaches who you played for in the NBA, Larry Bird, what did Larry bring to your career, and what was it like to have that relationship with Larry?
Well, Larry was different. Larry, he was a good guy. He was not real comfortable coaching. He brought in a great offensive guy in Rick Carlisle, and Dick Harder was our defensive guy. And those guys did most of the coaching.
Okay.
Larry got, when he got there, he said, you guys know what you're doing. I'm going to make sure you guys are in the best condition you've ever been in, and man, he ran the heck out of us. But we got in great shape. And then when game time came, the other two coaches took over.
Well, your alma mater leading now 41-35 after the Curry basket. What have you thought watching the first half here of your alma mater?
Man, they play physical. I don't believe we played that physical and that fast a pace. These guys really get up and down. And just looking at these guys, man, what athletes they are. They're all developed. I don't think we could have hung with any of these guys.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I was a student at Syracuse the same time you were here at Marist, and my college roommate from this area, and every year he'd come to games that you guys were playing, and all I would hear at Syracuse, he'd come back to campus and say, you got to see these guys. Rick Smits and Drafton Davis, baby. He loved you guys. You guys captivated the Hudson Valley. I mean, you guys did things that hadn't been done here before.
That's true. We had some great chemistry. We had a great bunch of guys, and Drafton, man, he was just a playmaker. He was our spark. Steals, assists. He did whatever he had to do. Some days we needed somebody to step up scoring. He'd be that guy. What a great honor it was to be able to play with him.
And this community really embraced you guys, and you can see it again. I mean, when you get it going in here, it gets loud, and the community really gets behind this program.
They definitely do. And we were just talking about that with John McDonough, one of my former teammates.
That's two mentions, by the way, McDonough.
Really? Oh, wow. But anyway, it does get loud in here. And I'd like to come back when this place is full again. When the team is when they win again consistently. It'd really be fun to be in here.
Now, what have you seen out of number 50 in white, Adam Kemp? As a big guy, if you were to talk to him, what have you seen out of him so far?
He plays physical. He plays hard. I think he's got to turn a little bit more back to his left. He did that one time and then got the foul called to him. But work on your left hook also. At one time he was trying to set himself up to go turn back to the right, and he put it on the ground too many times. But he works hard. He just got to go, be able to go with both hands and go over both shoulders.
And you started a tradition. Marist has always had good bigs. Alan Tomedy and a number of different guys. A lot of programs at this level can't get one good big guy, but Marist Red Foxes have certainly been able to find plenty of post players.
Well, that's good. I was glad to be. Well, there was a big guy before me, a 7'1" guy, John Donovan. So I guess I cannot claim to be the first one.
Well, when I knew we might have a chance to talk to you today, Rick, I went onto YouTube last night. Stumbled upon the All-Star game that you played in and saw the pass that you made behind your back to Jason Williams for the dunk. Take me through that play. How does a 7'4" guy lead the break like that and go behind his back on that stage? That was a sweet play.
I've been playing with Mark Jackson for years at that time, so Ed was one of the best teachers that was going behind the back, and it just happened. I mean, I didn't think about it. It was the pass, the opportunity was there, and I'm just glad Jason Williams finished it with a dunk.
See Siobhan Lewis slow to get up. We'll take another look.
I see Snowden sliding under, and he went down hard on that left wrist, and you can see he was in obvious pain.
Looks like he's going to stay in and take the free throws. One thing I also noticed, Rick, in watching that video is the guy who passed you the ball before you made the pass. Remember who that was?
I can't say I do.
Some guy named Michael Jordan.
I've heard of him.
What was he like to play with on that stage?
He was a lot of fun. Very, very competitive, as obviously everybody knows. But I played with him before in some kind of a charity game, but he was just joking around, having a good time, and it was an honor to be able to play with him.
Now, you scored over 12,000 points in your NBA career. If you were coming out now, do you think your game would translate differently with the way the NBA game is played now? Do you think you'd be even more effective at scoring the basketball the way Europeans have come in and the game has changed?
Tough to say. Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, I got the outside shot,
yep.
So, the way they're using that today, these days, I guess maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Tough to say.
I did a game last night with Tim McCormick, who you might recall.
Yes.
And that was his thought when we were talking about you last night. He thought that if you played now, you'd probably get more shots the way offenses are run and that you'd be able to score even more points.
Yeah, my trouble wasn't scoring. My trouble was staying in the game. I think I led the NBA in fouling out several seasons, I believe. So if you go back and look at my per 48-minute scoring, I was up there. I've probably been an all-star several years, but I only played like 24 minutes a game, on average or something. It wasn't much.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, Rick Smits, all-time great here at Marist College. Back to McCann Arena after this.
And now my journey across the country's brought me to the lovely city of Boston. Cheers. And seeing as it's such a historic city, I'm sure they'll appreciate that Geico's been saving people money for over 75 years. Oh dear. I've dropped my tea into the Boston Harbour. I guess this party's over.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
I wanted to stay in the entertainment sector, so I looked at schools in New York, and Iona stood out. Iona offered a wonderful opportunity, Career Mentor Day. I met an alum who was the senior vice president at CBS. Within a week, I had an interview, and from there, I was able to get in my current position. Iona is definitely responsible for my place here and my future here.
Outstanding internships, supported by an active alumni base, are just one reason Iona graduates are helping to move the world.
47-37, Marist has opened up a 10-point lead. Let's go to Rob Kennedy, who spoke at halftime with Marvin Jordan.
Marvin, it seems like you always liked playing against Marist. Had a terrific game the first time out earlier this year. You had a career-high 27. Why are you able to get so many good looks against the Red Foxes?
I think it's just the intensity and the atmosphere. Both teams playing hard, and we just come out and compete. And the game just it's in a nice flow, so I'm able to get a good rhythm and get open shots.
And everybody talks about your three-point shooting, and why not one of the best in Niagara history. but I don't think you get enough credit for your defense. Does that bother you sometimes? Because I think you're a heck of a defender lately.
No, I mean, it doesn't bother me. Long as guys like you know that I work hard on defense, I'll be fine with that.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Good luck rest of the second.
Thank you.
Well, Coach Kennedy certainly does know. He's glad to have your approval. I like that.
Most importantly, his coach knows it too. And Chris Casey said right from the start, much better defender than he was led to believe, and he has really bought in. And you need that. When you're a first-year head coach, you need your seniors to buy in, and certainly Marvin Jordan has done that on the defensive side.
McCall fouled by either Lewis or Hart on his drive to the basket. Good to see Siobhan Lewis still playing. As we were talking to Rick Smits, he seemed to go down hard and injure his hand or his wrist or something, but he was able to stay in and make the free throws and help Marist with this quick start to the second half. They led 38-35 at the break, now up by 10.
And the Purple Eagles have to figure out how to get Antoine Mason going here a little offensively.
Thomas misses everything, and then he ties up the basketball. And does he get called for the foul? No, they just say it's a held ball. A little aggressive getting after Siobhan Lewis, but the possession arrow stays down at this end. So a good play by Joe Thomas. That was a fun chance to talk to Rick Smits, the 8th tallest player in NBA history at 7'4". I'm glad we were sitting down to do that interview.
Yeah, no question about that. And his skill set and the way he shot the basketball.
Yep. Mason continues to struggle from the floor.
And he's gotten some decent looks. I mean, he's got 13 shot attempts up, and it's not as if he's chucking them up. He just can't quite find the rhythm.
But he's a guy who can go for 20 and a half in a heartbeat. Rayvon Harris lost it. Ball still loose. It squirts out of bounds. Back to the Red Foxes. We'll take a break. Chris Casey's Purple Eagles find themselves down 10.
Well, look what the wind blew in. Putting the team back together. And we need you. That's music to my ear.
It's too easy out here.
Oh, man, man. Oh, baby.
Fulfill your educational goals on a 22-acre private residential campus just minutes away from the world's economic, cultural, communications, and entertainment center, New York City. For more than 160 years, Manhattan College has promised a Lasallian Catholic education featuring 5 schools of study that challenge students to excel academically while providing career opportunities second to none. Find out what Manhattan College can promise your future.
It's knowing that you will always compete against the best while making you become the best that you can be. It's about joining a family with a storied history where athletics and academics are held to the highest of standards. It's about creating the future leaders of tomorrow, all with the focus on one goal: graduation. It's the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
Well, look what the wind blew in. Putting the team back together. And we need you. That's music to my ear.
It's too easy out here.
Oh, man, man. Oh, baby.
47-37, Marist with a double-figure lead, its largest of the night. MacMerch.com is the official online store of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. This store offers championship apparel for all Mac sports. Visit MacMerch.com to get your fan gear today. With Rob Kennedy, I'm Doug Sherman here in Poughkeepsie, New York, where the fans are out. Good crowd here tonight at the refurbished McCann Arena. Used to be called the McCann Center when Rick Smits and company were playing here. But as you talked about, this community, Dutchess County and beyond, really does support this program when they are winning. We see that now with the women's team.
Absolutely.
And they would love to get it going with the men's team once again. Hey, there's a good look at Art Himmelberg. He is the renowned music director here at McCann Arena, who is Rob Kennedy's
I love
favorite person in the match.
Oh, when he gets going, they play the fight song before they get to introductions, and it is the best rendition of a fight song as you're going to see, and nobody gives the effort that Art does out there.
No.
It starts going scratch and claw, and he's out there doing it. You got to see it.
Well, that basket by Bowie matches his season high of 22 points, which he did against Morgan State in a non-conference game, and he is now just 1 point shy of matching his career high for a ball game.
Well, this game had such good flow, but here in the second half, nothing flowing for Niagara. Just 2 points so far here in the first 5 minutes and change.
Well, Jay Bowie has been the star of the show so far. 9 of 11 from the floor for those 22 points. Here is Bowie again. Wesley Myers. Mason. A lot of contact. No call. Myers again, and they're going to count the basket as Kemp's hand got caught up in the rim, so even if the ball had popped out, it would have been 2 points.
Heads up play by Myers to come back and get that loose ball. Can see the frustration right now of Antoine Mason. He was over talking to Chris Casey. He thought he got fouled. You just got to keep playing through. Hard enough to play. You can't play and officiate at the same time.
Yeah, Mason only 3 of 15 from the floor so far tonight. 6 points, 3 assists, couple of turnovers. But again, for that man who has gone for as many as 39 points, that's the most by anybody in the MAC this year. His dad knows his son can put up points in a hurry and get the Purple Eagles right back in it. There's a new career high. The senior out of Tampa Prep High School in Tampa, Florida, now has 25 points.
And that basket is big right now for Jay Bowie.
Niagara will keep the basketball. Well, other than getting Antoine Mason going, what else does Niagara need to do? They're controlling the glass. They just aren't shooting the ball well. What do they need to do?
Well, if Mason's not going to get it going, we said they've got to find second and third scores. Now he's starting to push. He's really starting to press. You got to trust his teammates. Ware got off to a quick start. Marvin Jordan. Can't just force everything yourself.
Terrific feed by Lewis to Adam Kemp, and the two captains enjoying the moment now.
And that's a good timeout by Chris Casey. This game's starting to get away from him, and his team right now out of sync. Mason's pushing and pressing and hunting shots, something that we've not seen from him too much lately.
I'll ask you this, Rob. In this league, it's always been a big deal for opponents to make the, quote, Western New York swing, to go out and spend 3 days to play 2 games against Canisius and Niagara. But the reality is those teams have to do similar road trips. Niagara right now on the back end of an Eastern New York swing. They played 2 nights ago at Siena and lost that game. And now are we seeing sort of the residual of what's been a long weekend for them in this part of the state?
Looks like it. And we talked about the lack of depth that Marist has. Well, Niagara's got lack of depth as well. I mean, they do not go too deep into their bench as well. Career night for Jay Bowie. But so right now it looks like you're seeing a little bit of tired legs.
What is that like for a college kid during your days as a player and as a coach to go and play 2 games in 3 days being on the road? Do we put too much into that, or should we just look at them and say, hey, they're a bunch of 19-year-old kids, just get out there and play?
Now, when you're at home, there's a comfort level, no question about it. And at times, the travel can beat you up. But as well at times, when you get on the road, that's really when your team can bond. And sometimes you get on one of those runs on the road can turn your season around.
Well, Niagara shooting only 30% before that Marvin Jordan jump shot. Lewis steps back. That's a 2, and they're going to review it at the next stoppage when we get to our next timeout. It looked like a 2, and that's what they called on the court.
Either way, it was a tough shot because it's a step back, but he got his feet underneath him and was able to square up.
And this is a new rule this year that the officials don't stop the game to go and review that 2 or 3 unless it's at the end of the game.
And that's a good rule.
Yes.
You know, keep the game flowing. We can go back and figure it out at a stoppage. No need to stop the game.
Because it's not going to change anybody's strategy at this point in the game where it would late in the game potentially.
Yeah, anytime. The use of replay is great. You want to get the calls right, but you do not want to continue to break up the flow of games.
So again, at the under 12 timeout, the officials will get over to the scorer's table. And Gary Pacino, the lead official, as an offensive foul is called against McCall. He let the scorer's table know, I'm going to come look at that, have that ready for me.
Yep. He was signaling as he was running by it. As we said, that's a good rule change. It allows the game to keep moving.
Off the turnover, Niagara in some full court pressure.
They've got to figure out a way to get some type of energy and come up with a couple easy, quick baskets because every shot has been a struggle here in this second half.
Good job by Curry there to get that ball out of the coffin corner. Took the inbounds pass and was immediately double teamed. Nice look. Kemp throws it down.
Well, they got it going right now. When they're playing in that kind of offensive flow, when you got a guy like Jay Bowie having a career night, Javon Lewis being a guy that can score in different ways, and then you get Adam Kemp scoring at the rim. That's a good combination.
Perhaps an issue with the shot clock.
Yep, that's what it was. It was stuck on 35, so they get it down to 32, but they do it quickly, so I like it.
Yep. One thing also different this year is that the officials aren't counting the 10 seconds for a backcourt violation, so the officials are naturally looking up at the shot clock, so if there is a problem, it's usually addressed and corrected quickly.
Yeah, good point.
Nice little screen and roll. Jordan to Ware.
Exactly. Jordan coming off, drawing 2 defenders. Now, that's the first time Ware's been able to get himself an uncontested shot inside.
Points in the paint have been tough to come by for Niagara. That's just 18 now. Marist has 30 in the paint. This time Lewis goes to the corner, and Hart feeds the post. Kemp muscles through the double team. This time manages not to get the elbow in the wrong spot.
Well, he loves to turn over to that left shoulder and get back to the middle of the floor. Rick Smits talked about how he's got to be able to have a counter for it. Didn't need it.
Boy, he is a silver bullet.
Out in the open floor, he's as good as any slasher in this league.
Dozen points now for Lewis. Foul going the other way. It's all TJ Curry and the Marist Red Foxes right now.
The right education can inspire you to do anything. Challenge yourself. Prepare for success. This is your moment to create, explore, discover, matter to each other and to the world. Be inspired to do anything at Monmouth University, where leaders look forward.
Division I basketball returns to Springfield this March. The MAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championships, where somebody could become an NCAA champion. March 6th through the 10th, Mass Mutual Center in Springfield.
Gets it off from midcourt.
Get your tickets for the MAC Basketball Championship and get into the action all the way to the finish at Ticketmaster.com, Massachusetts.com, or the Mass Mutual Center box office. Presented by Mass Mutual Financial Group.
NCAA March Madness is coming to Buffalo. Experience it live.
Oh, brings it home.
as 8 of the top collegiate teams compete for a shot at the NCAA Sweet 16. Don't miss the buzzer beaters as Cinderellas crash the party at the 2014 NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship. March 20th and 22nd at the First Niagara Center in Buffalo. Affordable tickets now available. Visit ncaa.com/MBB tickets.
62-43, a big start to the second half for the Red Foxes. So we go over to Rob Kennedy with Niagara's head coach, Chris Casey.
Chris, all of a sudden it's starting to get away from you. How do you stop that?
Well, we got to go one possession at a time and have a little bit more pride on the defensive end. We're not guarding ball screens the right way at all. So we got to shore that up, and we got to make some shots on offense. We got some looks early in the half and didn't make them, and we didn't keep pace.
All right, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Good crowd here on Alumni Weekend here at McCann Arena. Will the golf shot find its mark? That's pretty good. He's just won $6 million.
If that were the case, that would be unsportsmanlike.
Okay, maybe not.
Maybe not.
I don't know what he won, but the adulation of everybody in the building, perhaps. I want to ask you, we've seen in this league a guy like Tim Cluse at Iona get his first Division I head coaching job at Iona. He's had great success the last 4 years. And Chris Casey trying to do the same thing. We saw the graphic that he'd spent the last 3 years doing very, very well at the Division II level. What are the challenges for Chris Casey, not necessarily specific to the job at Niagara, but making that jump from Division II up to Division I?
Well, unlike Tim Cluse, who didn't have any experience in Division I recruiting, although he's recruited great, Chris Casey's got a long experience of being a Division I assistant at all levels, at Central Connecticut, at St. Peter's, as well as at the highest level at St. John's. And a lot of times that's the biggest adjustment, but right now for him, what they've got to do is retool the roster. He ended up getting the job late with the defections and with guys transferring out. Remember, this is a Niagara team that, if whole, would have been the preseason pick to win the league, as they won the regular season last year. But with Amin Tanksley leaving, Wanye Green, their best player, and a guy who would have certainly been in conversation as a preseason player of the year, and TJ Klein. And so they got in a situation where they were short bodies right from the start. So the biggest thing they've got to do is retool their roster.
Foul as Mason tried to find his way to the basket. His season low was 15 points back on January 16th at Fairfield. He's only been held under 20 points 2 other times, including 2 nights ago by Siena. And his father hoping that he can get it going here in the final 10 minutes. Hart, Bowie, Brooks, Curry, and Lewis, the 5 on the floor for Marist. Snowden, Ware, Jordan, Mason, and McCall, the 5 out there for Niagara in their road black uniforms. Hart, shot blocked by Ware, and Marist will keep it. Foul on Jordan as he grabbed a hold of Lewis, who was trying to go by. Well, TJ Curry playing a much bigger role for Marist this year. He's a junior out of Christ the King High School. And he and Siobhan Lewis go way back. They've been teammates and buddies since they were kids.
Yeah, and certainly 2 guys that were friends. And during the recruiting process, Chucky Martin, one of the things he wanted to do is get the commitment from TJ Curry initially to try and help with the recruitment of Siobhan.
And it worked out.
Yeah, worked out very well. Lewis right now sits number 8 all time in points scored in Marist history. Top 10 as well in steals in his career. And TJ Curry, as you mentioned, Doug, a little bit more prominent role, much like the end of last year when he was inserted into the starting lineup. And with the transfer of Isaiah Morton during the season here, he's made the most of that opportunity.
Yeah, the team's played better since he's gone into the starting lineup. And Curry, during his recruitment, much like Lewis was offered by Siena, Not that they were a package deal by any means, but certainly Chuck Martin, as any coach knows, your chances go up at getting somebody's buddy if you've got a spot open for him and he wants to come play with him.
Yeah, and TJ Curry was a tough, hard-nosed point guard, terrific student, recruited by a number of the Ivy. So it wasn't as if all of a sudden, you were recruiting a second guy that couldn't play, and TJ Curry has shown that.
Yep. Loyola was also involved back in the day. Marcus Ware had a quick start to this ball game, took an elbow to the face, and I don't know if that's had anything to do with his slowdown, but he and the Purple Eagles have kind of ground to a halt here in the second half. They've only scored 8 points in the first 11 minutes.
And you can see the frustration. We've seen a couple of frustration fouls, another illegal screen, some forced shots.
Jordan the takeaway. And Bowie got him on the way by.
But one guy that's still playing hard is that senior leader in Marvin Jordan.
As long as you know that.
Yeah. Did like that one. But he was a guy that everybody just thought of, microwave, coming off the bench, chucking up shot. He's more than that, and he's proven that here in his senior season.
And we see that out of guys, especially at this level, who are four-year players who have the time to develop their games and work on their games. We saw it in Sean Armand at Iona, who, again, his first 2 years was just a perimeter shooter, and now he does so much more.
And if you're going to be a complete player offensively, you got to be able to work on your game, and you have to expand your game. You can't get pigeonholed into one style of play. Siobhan Lewis initially was just a slasher. He's worked on his outside shot enough to keep guys honest. One of the reasons why he's one of the top scorers in the league last year, doing the same again this year.
Oh, by the way, the birthday boy, Siobhan Lewis, taking a seat on the bench right before that basket that pulls Niagara back within 20. 65-45 now. Here's Curry, tough shot with a hand in his face. Offensive rebound, Brooks. Brooks working on Ware, lost it on the way up, but the whistle and a foul. It has been all Marist Red Foxes here in the second half, up by 20. The MAC National Game of the Week is brought to you by Pepsi Max. 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Anaconda Sports, home of the Rock, is proud to sponsor the MAC. And by the 2014 MAC Basketball Championships at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, Massachusetts, March 6th through 10th. Visit Massachusetts.com for more information. 65-45, Marist with the comfortable lead, being led by their upperclassman, Siobhan Lewis, on his birthday, 14 points, and Rob now 8 assists, and that matches his career high.
As we said, he's a guy that can fill the stat sheet. And he has worked on his game. We talked about it, Doug. Guy that all the time would put his head down and try to get to the rim. One of the things, talking to Jeff Bauer earlier today, he said he's really started to figure out how to make the mid-range game a big part of his game. And so instead of driving in and taking a more difficult guarded shot, he's pulling up for an open 10, 12, 15-footer.
And he came into this ball game already as the 8th all-time leading scorer at Marist with over 1,300 points. And again, he's still got a year and a half to go. He's going to get up to 2,000 and more. Now, Rick Smits, who joined us at halftime, is the number 2 all-time leading scorer with 1,945 points. And at the rate Lewis is going, he might be able to get there.
And if you got a chance to catch Rick Smits, that tells you how good of a career that Siobhan Lewis is having so far.
2,000 is a very big number.
And Mason got away with one there. He lowered his shoulder and lowered the boom. But they called it a block.
Snowden with the bucket. He always puts the officials on notice. They got to make calls.
No, and that's what I said. He puts pressure on the defense because he drives, and he puts pressure on the on the officials because he searches out contact.
Illegal screen. It goes against Kentrell Brooks.
That look says a lot.
The former head coach of the Hornets in the NBA. Jeff Bauer, as we've talked about, had such a long career. Travel called. Mason, by his body language, didn't like it, but he did.
Yeah, and he's been frustrated. Dad frustrated, looking on. Marist did a good job first time these two teams played and really made Mason work for it. He had 22 in that game, but he was 6 of 18 from the field. The changing defenses, and JB said it right at the first interview at the 12-minute mark that they would keep him off balance. You don't want to allow him to get into a flow, so the different looks defensively have worked.
Ware commits the foul. He was face guarding Bowie the whole way, and then gets called for the personal. Now Mason, as the nation's leading scorer, is going to see that, and he's been seeing that all year. Different defenders coming at him, mixing up the defenses. We saw it 2 nights ago. How do you deal with that?
Well, one thing is you got to trust your teammates, and he did that the other night against Siena. Coming down the stretch, he had a terrific finish against Evan Himes in the lane, made the right play, and then 2 guys jumped at him, made the right play, made the extra pass. Into the corner for a wide open 3 by Wesley Myers. It didn't fall, but today he's been a little bit more frustrated by the defense and has started to force shots.
And when you have a guy who accounts for 35% of your offense, most in the country, you've got to have him producing at least at a certain level.
Yeah, we said one of the keys was to get the second and third score because they've always had the first score. This is really the first time all season long that they have not been able to get point production from the nation's leader, Antoine Mason.
And again, he's got just 6 points right now, but still working, driving to the bucket now with 8.
Antoine Mason.
Nice job by Mason to take the ball away. Bowie is down at midcourt as Mason dunks it.
And he went down hard. Here's the end of that steal and the finish as Mason got back into double figures once again.
Bowie waves over to the Marist bench saying, I'm okay, I'll play on.
Well, when you have a career high 27, you want to stay out there. Oh, and he went down hard. Remember, he missed time last year with a concussion, and so I think smartly stayed down for a little bit. You got to love his toughness to stay in the game.
Yeah, only played 18 games last year because of multiple concussions.
Yeah, so anytime he goes down and hits the floor, you hold your breath.
And with that in mind, as he fires away.
That's why he wanted to stay on the floor. Like I said, that basket's about 8 feet wide today. 30.
Continues to expand on his career high.
Some days it's hard to figure out who our Pepsi Max player of the game is going to be. I think you can build the graphic right now, guys.
Yep, he has been terrific right from the start. Jay Bowie came out. I think he hit his first 7 shots from the floor, and he has barely slowed down since. He never scored more than 23 in a game during his very good 4-year career. Curry gets into the act.
Yeah, the bench loves it. Fans like it. And when they start hitting shots and they get this crowd behind them, this is a tough place to play. Fox is coming in 6-3 on this season here at home.
Mason finishes quickly. He's got 12. Hart teeing it up. Mason's got it. Myers fouled by Brooks.
There's foul number 1, Kentrell Brooks. His 3rd and 8th team foul charge to Mavericks.
And so Wesley Myers, the 6'2 freshman from Brooklyn, out of Boys and Girls High School, at the line shooting 2.
He started the last 3 games. Started when McCall went out, missed 2 games with the stitches to his tongue. Ooh, that hurts just saying it. With the first game that Chris Casey inserted him into the starting lineup, played the full 40 minutes against Canisius. Talented freshman that not afraid to mix things up and make things happen.
Well, this was a tight ball game the entire first half. Back and forth they went. The score at the break was 38-35 Marist, and then the Red Foxes came out and punched the Purple Eagles in the mouth.
Yeah, and at halftime looked like we were going to have a terrific game coming down the stretch, but Marist too good efficiently knocking down shots there at the beginning of the half, and just riding Jay Bowie.
Well, he's the first player in a Red Fox uniform this year to go for as many as 30 points, and he can add to his total at the free throw line here.
Jeff Bauer says that loves the way that Jay Bowie competes each and every day. He said, you know what you're going to get from Jay Bowie. You know, he's consistent, he works hard, he's solid. Exactly what you want from a senior leader.
So now as we hit February, a little more than a month away from the MAC tournament, what do you see from this Marist team? You know, they're going to have to do a lot of work still to get themselves into the top 5. Probably not likely. They're going to have to play on Thursday at the MAC tournament. But they certainly, if they play like this, look like a team to be contended with.
Well, especially if they don't have to go too deep into their bench, as Bowie gets a well-deserved round of applause from the crowd. But yeah, I mean, when you've got a guy like Siobhan Lewis that can light you up, and Jay Bowie playing well, and Adam Kemp scoring inside, and the emergence of a freshman superstar at the point right now, and Khalid Hart, well, that's a good combination to start with. And so it's a team that was 0-9 to start the season. And I asked JB, talking to him earlier, I said, did you ever worry when you were 0-9 to start? He said, no. He said, you know, we had a tough schedule. We were on the road a lot. Just worried about one game. All coach speak, right? One game at a time, one possession. But he said you could see that we were going to be all right. And good for his team to have that belief as well and turn the season around.
Oh, by the way, that was the first foul shot taken by Antoine Mason tonight. He is somebody who makes a living at the line and leads the nation in foul shots taken and foul shots made.
Yeah, he scored 195 points on the season coming in from the line, and those are his first 2 tonight. That was one of the keys for Marist, and you put a check and a gold star next to that one. They have certainly kept Mason off the line.
And he's up to 14 points with 4 minutes remaining. steps on Brooks. And so the turnover will give the basketball back to Niagara when we come back. The Red Foxes by 17.
Well, look what the wind blew. Putting the team back together. We need you. That's music to my ear.
It's too easy out here.
Oh, man. Oh, baby.
It's knowing that you will always compete against the best while making you become the best that you can be. It's about joining a family with a storied history where athletics and academics are held to the highest of. It's about creating the future leaders of tomorrow, all with the focus on one goal: graduation. It's the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
Huh. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Everybody knows that.
Well, did you know that when a tree falls in the forest and no one's around, it does make a sound?
Oh boy! I'm falling! Everybody look out! Oh!
Little help here? Geico. 15 minutes could save you. Well, you know.
Anybody?
Well, look what the wind blew. Putting the team back together. We need you. That's music to my ear.
It's too easy out here.
Oh, man. Oh, baby.
Welcome back to the MAC National Game of the Week presented by Pepsi Max. Marist 74, Niagara 57, final 3:47 of regulation. Rob, we were talking before that last break about the new format of the upcoming MAC tournament. With the 11 teams, they had to make a change, and so now the top 5 teams at the end of the regular season will get a bye straight to the quarterfinal round. The other 6 will have to play games on Thursday, then take Friday off before the quarterfinals on Saturday. And I'm curious your thoughts about that format.
Well, I like the fact that everybody's in the tournament, so that's number one.
Yes.
I like it when everybody's still got a chance. Even Fairfield, who's 1-10, if you're out of the tournament, man, it is hard as a coach and a player to get yourself motivated coming down the stretch. So I like that. I also like the fact that you have the day off Thursday, you play, and then Friday off. So if you're not, you know, it was always hard to win 4 games in 4 days. You still want the bye, right? But now you're not penalized quite as much. But it was really a function of how they laid the tournament out to have that day break.
Mason, do you think he's thinking about his scoring average?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right there. That looks like it the last
And
couple of times.
I don't blame him.
No,
I think it's human nature, and I'd be thinking the same thing.
And again, that's what he does, though. So it's when I say yes, it's not necessarily that he's saying, hey, I got to get my scoring. He's a guy that scores 27 a game,
right.
So he's a high-volume shot guy. The last couple of times you and I have seen him, though, he has not hunted shots. He has hunted shots, especially when the game got away here a little bit.
Yeah. And again, I think it's human nature, and he understands that win or lose, the first line of the Niagara story is going to be how much he scored, whether he didn't score, or how much he did. He continues to lead the nation in points per game with Doug McDermott of Creighton, number 2. But it's not been his night or Niagara's night. Hart drives around Jordan. And there is the 5-time MAC Rookie of the Week with a nice strong finish. Looks like Hart is the one who's feeling some pain right now.
He's a strong physical guard. Gets hit. Able to finish through some contact.
As a young man who missed all of last year with knee surgery, so just like we were talking about with Jay Bowie, you hold your breath when he goes down with the concussion history. You also hold your breath with Khalid Hart because you know his history with that knee. So I'd imagine his night is done, and hopefully the news that comes from Marist will be good on him. Teron Whitfield's come into the game for the Red Foxes. Peter Prinsloo as well, as Jeff Bauer has emptied his bench. This is Manny Thomas. And also Philip Lawrence getting some playing time. Time now to look at our Pepsi Max slam of the game, and for that we go back to the first half early on. You heard it, Siobhan Lewis of Marist. Could you make a crowd do that?
No.
Wow.
Certainly couldn't make the rim do that. You heard the rim snap back on that dunk.
Rob, I've got a final score from the other big college basketball
He's
game
got
in
his arm
upstate
around
New
me,
York.
folks. That means the Orange won.
Overtime, Syracuse 91, Duke 89. Why did the Blue Devils invite the Orange into the ACC? It's just all downhill from here for Coach K.
That must have been an instant classic. Your alma mater had a lead, led a 3 at the buzzer, basically sent it into overtime, but they are a resilient bunch, and they showed their resiliency again.
Mason now with 17. Yeah, the one stat that I've been hammering home the last couple of days when talking about Syracuse, their freshman point guard, Tyler Ennis, who is finally getting some of the national recognition that, boy, he's as good as any freshman out there. In the last 5 minutes of games this year for Syracuse heading into today, their point guard had not committed a single turnover, and he was shooting better than 50% from the floor. You can count that basket with a goaltend. Ennis today 14 points, 9 assists. Hey, our Pepsi Max player of the game, no surprise, it's Jay Bowie, a career-high 31 points. That's the most by a Red Fox since 2012. And Jay Gavin went for 32. And we expect to hear from Jay Bowie after the ball game. And also from Red Fox's head coach Jeff Bauer, so stay with us for our post-game report. Manny Thomas. Even though Thomas missed there, he provided a little bit of an offensive spark, a little bit of energy as he always does in that first half when Marist was looking for somebody to score, and Thomas came off with 5 quick points.
Yeah, and if that could be his role and he can give him production off the bench, doesn't have to be scoring all the time. But you do have to get productive minutes from guys off the bench.
And so Jeff Bauer was able to use Thomas tonight effectively. Brooks off the bench effectively. Lawrence a little bit less. You really don't need 10 or 11 or 12 players. You really only need 8 or 9.
Yep, and coming down the stretch of the season, you see so many teams kind of shrink their bench a bit as they settle in on rotations.
But without having that depth right now, you're really susceptible to an injury or two. So I like to say it's nice to have a bigger rotation early, work it down, and then if you do suffer an injury, you've got somebody who can potentially step back into the rotation. Under a minute. Big second half for Marist. Red Foxes will keep the ball. Marist on its way to a 5th conference win. They're about to go to 5-7. And again, they were picked 5th in the preseason coaches poll. Got out of the gate so slowly, 0-9 to begin the year. Mason launches. Trug the rebound.
Mason's going to finish with 17, but that's a deceptive number.
He was stuck on 6 until just a couple of minutes ago. And that has been part of the problem for Niagara. It's been a tough weekend for the Purple Eagles. Curry, no. Prinsloo. Hitting all over that glass. 5 seconds to go. He looks up, pulls it back out, and that is your ball game. Jeff Bauer's Red Foxes hold the nation's leading scorer, Antoine Mason, to 19 points on 8 of 23 shooting. And with that effort, the Red Foxes pick up a 14-point victory. They improved to 8-14, 5-7 in league play. Take a break and come back with our MAC post-game report. Coach Kennedy will talk to the winning coach and our Pepsi Max player of the game.
I travel a lot for my work with swimming, and when I come home, I want a place to unwind. I bought my first endless pool over 15 years ago. In this newest endless pool, it's better than ever. The current is perfect for swimming any stroke. Crank it up and you can swim race pace, or back it off and just relax. Swimming or water walking and running is a wonderful way to exercise. The endless pool takes non-impact to another level. As I get older, keeping in shape is more important than ever. With an endless pool, I have a pool and a spa all in one. Hi, I'm Rowdy Gaines, 3-time Olympic gold medalist.